What's up, people? Welcome back to Trucker Logic, and I'm here to bring you some more bad news today. Twitter is a little bit in controversy here in Europe again, as it was when Elon Musk bought the company. And the reason that Elon Musk bought the company was to make it a free speech platform, to stop the immense censorship that was going on the platform. And ever since he bought it, it's been, I wouldn't say completely free speech, but way 99.9% better than it was. A whole bunch of people got unbanned. A whole bunch of people can now post on Twitter. I can post on Twitter. I've gotten banned twice for 7 days for I think asking if somebody was a tranny on a picture, which wasn't allowed. And there was something else. I insulted some left-wing bitch, and you can't do that. You can only insult white people. You can only insult right-wing people. But anybody on the left or anybody that's on climate change or trans people or, whatever, you can't, those are all protected, But essentially Twitter has been better. And now Twitter has announced, or Elon Musk has announced, that he is going to pull Twitter out of the European Disinformation Code, which was set up in 2022 during COVID, or right at the tail end of COVID. And of course, the European Parliament is making this code, and right now it's voluntary, but I think that they want to enforce it into law next year, which means that everything that they deem disinformation must be censored from the social media platforms that signed up to this code. And the platforms that don't sign up to the code will be banned from the countries that are part of the European Union. So that basically means all the content creators on TikTok, on Twitter, on YouTube, on basically everything except for Rumble in the States, who probably will not go along with the disinformation code, but then will be censored from Europe. I'll get into that in a second. You can get around this, obviously, with a VPN. But basically all of the social media platforms, except for maybe Rumble, will end up signing this disinformation code. I think Twitter will also sign it. If they don't, then people in Europe will not be able to use Twitter unless they have a VPN to get around the block. So basically, Europe's going to put in a China-style firewall to block its citizens from seeing disinformation, which is basically proven to be true information. Ever since COVID, we saw that everybody that spoke out against the government mandates or spoke out against the government in any way, spoke out against the pharmaceutical companies, they were basically censored and banned or shadow banned from every platform there was. And because the government considered all that shit misinformation or disinformation. And, well, again, at the end, we know now that all the misinformation and disinformation that people were posting online all turned out to be true. But it counts as disinformation when the European Parliament cronies and corrupt government bureaucrats don't like what you're saying. That's going to count as disinformation. So a lot of content creators in Europe are going to lose a lot of money. I'm not making any money yet because I don't have very many followers anywhere. And I just started doing this. So, yeah, people who have built a mega following and are making their income from speaking truth to power in Europe are going to have a hard time continuing to do that because they will be censored from the platforms if the European Parliament demands so. So, my suggestion as to how to get around this, if there remains a platform that is not going to go along with this codex, that the code that the European Parliament is making, then they will not be available in Europe. But if you get yourself a VPN, which I suggest people do anyway, which is a virtual private network, and spoofs your IP address to make it look like you are in a different country, then you can set your IP address to, for example, America or a non-EU country, and you'll still be able to get on the platforms. So the tyranny and the control over the citizens is becoming worse and worse in Europe. We all knew this was coming when the European Parliament started ripping the sovereignty from all the countries that joined it. So it shouldn't be of any surprise to anybody that at this point we're at the stage that there will be a mis or disinformation code run by the government, which is simply China CCP policy that they're going to cram down on our so-called democracies while telling the people they live in a free country. But they're going to block information that people will need to see. I mean, it was, again, most of us were right about COVID. Most of us are right about the government corruption. And, of course, a lot of content creators are online, exposing government corruption. And that will, of course, be seen by the corrupt politicians as disinformation because they don't want that shit getting out. You can see the elites are starting to panic because they are losing control because of the internet. All of us can get a bunch of information that we would never have been able to get without the internet. And so all their plots and schemes and corruption and shit is starting to get exposed. And so they need to ramp up the control. Otherwise, they risk losing it. So you can expect a lot more tyranny to come. You know what I mean? A lot more tyranny to come. I can guarantee you that if people start massively getting VPNs to get around these stupid fucking censorship rules that these people are going to impose, they're going to make VPNs illegal. But right now they're not, so get them. You know what I mean? Also, how are they going to really know you have them? Are they going to start raiding people's houses and checking people's phones if they have VPNs? Probably not. So hopefully we'll still be able to have a safety net there so that we can get on the platforms. But you can bet in the near future, many of the social media platforms will either be working with this disinformation code and they will nuke every channel that the European Parliament cronies or the government cronies think is disinformation. They will censor them, ban them, shadow ban them, and any company that doesn't go along with it is not going to be available in Europe. As I said in one of my previous videos, Rumble is a direct competitor to YouTube that absolutely sticks to free speech. And that's something that we don't know in Europe. There is no free speech in Europe. There is freedom of opinion, but not free speech. There's certain things you just cannot say. Otherwise you get fined or jailed or something like that. It's basically like third world banana republic style shit, China style shit. But America's the only place that has free speech. Rumble moved from Canada to America. They are a direct competitor to YouTube, and they're a great platform. I have an account there as well. It's also called Trucker Logic. You're welcome to join it. Right now, in the App Store for Apple, you can still get the Rumble app, but in the Android store, it's already being blocked in Germany. You will need a VPN to get around that to get the app. You'll still be able to access it online by going to their website. That's www.rumble.com, and that is a video platform that people who are creating content and have a big following should start migrating their followers to, so they can continue to earn money and continue to give their followers their good content, because this will come abruptly when the European Parliament decides to enforce it into actual law. So again, Twitter is getting some controversy because Elon Musk said, fuck you, we're not playing that game. But there is, of course, a risk that when it is a law, when it becomes a law, that Elon Musk will fold and go along with this deal, because otherwise he's going to lose too much money, and Twitter's already bleeding money. So there's a chance he's going to fold and just bend the knee to the European Parliament, corrupt bureaucrats. But other than Rumble and Twitter, all the other ones are already signed in, locked in, and yeah, good content and true content will be a thing of the past. We, of course, know that the government themselves will not adhere to their own code, just like they didn't adhere to the Nuremberg Code, which makes it so that governments cannot force citizens to take part in any medical experiment that hasn't been approved without, against their will. But of course, they did that with the COVID vaccines that, of course, are not vaccines anyway. So they don't care about the code when it comes to their things that they want to do, but they're just going to cram it down on the public and the citizens. So guarantee that. So if the government says, oh no, the vaccines are totally risk-free, and COVID is killing millions, and the hospitals are overloaded, which are all lies, those are not considered disinformation, because that's coming from the officials who are making these rules. So it's basically like mafia shit on the public again, and that's what the European Parliament is doing to the so-called free citizenry. So watch out about it, people. It's coming. It is coming. Welcome to China 2.0.